loves me. She loves me not. She loves me. That's what I thought. A penny for your thoughts, a nickel for your kiss. Grab a dandelion and make a wish. She loves me. She loves me not. She loves me. That's what I thought. Diamonds in the eyes, gold in the heart. Face like a Da Vinci, her body's a work of art. Got a nigga motivated. She puts me like a shopping cart. Everybody, it's Cash. It's my beautiful girlfriend, Bry.
Z.
It's another episode of Unkept Secrets. Today we got episodes a little bit different than what we normally do. We're going to dive into an interview of a celebrity and dissect a little bit. It's the interview of Taraji P Henson.
For once, it's not our drama, y'all. Y'all are getting a little break after getting a bunch of tea.
And it's an interview she had with Angie Martinez. I first caught wind of this interview when another YouTuber posted a video, and he said that Taraji P Henson is tired of being independent. And I saw the clip, and in the clip she talked about she was tired of being strong. She didn't necessarily say she was tired of being independent. She was saying she's tired of being a strong one. It didn't make her feel like a hero. So I immediately posted it. I shared it, and I said, you know, I'm glad that she admitted that she was tired of being independent.
You can relate to that, you know. Being the responsible one gets tiring.
And some other people commented and said it was clickbait. I feel like it was partially clickbait, but it wasn't. He didn't say that. So what I said in my post,
that didn't directly come out of her mouth. I think that's what makes it clickbait. The fact that quote didn't necessarily come out of her mouth. In other words, she's kind of hinted at being tired of the responsibility that she has, the constant workload. She hinted at a bunch of things that she was tired of, but she didn't necessarily come out and say that she was tired of being independent.
Yeah, so that's why I say it wasn't necessarily clickbait. So what I got from the clip, I was like, she's tired of holding the man's role in the relationship.
In everything.
Yes, in life and everything.
She mentioned she was the provider. She was the one that gave her friends energy. She was the one that made sure people were good.
Yeah, so I kind of said, oh, I'm glad that she admitted that, because a lot of women wouldn't admit it. And I kind of like translated it into saying that, you know, she needed a man. You know, some people commented on it, and they said, you know, you might need to watch the entire interview because it's not. They call it clickbait. And I really think it was clickbait. If you would have said that Taraji needed, yeah, we love Cookie. We love what's her name? Of Baby Boy. That was my favorite, the Baby Boy. I
drew a blank.
I forget what her name was. Damn. But anyway, I automatically, you know, assume something without going to see the whole video. And you should never watch a clip and come to a conclusion from watching the clip. And that's what somebody said in the thread after the comments after I posted the video. So I went back and I looked and I watched the interview. And
very deep interview, by the way. I think she breaks down in a very vulnerable way.
She's really vulnerable in that.
Very vulnerable, very honest too. I think for women, it's kind of hard to, you know, be okay with letting that vulnerability out to the world, especially on an interview.
I think that happened because her and Angie are actually friends.
Right.
So actually, she said in the interview that she felt comfortable. And so, but at the same time, she said a lot of things in the interview, but I felt like I read between the lines, and there were some key things that she said. She said a lot of stuff, but there were some key things that stood out to me. And even though I jumped off the cliff and assumed when she just off the little clip,
you head dive.
I jumped off the cliff at the clip. But then when I watched the full interview,
or even when we talked through, we kind of broke it down. because again, he's watching it from a male perspective. Let's get this out there. He's watching it from a male perspective. Watching it as a female, I read it a completely different way. So that kind of him talking it out loud, I think helps like the process of kind of like, oh, whoa, there's different perspectives of what she said and different ways to kind of interpret it.
Yeah, so we have some of the clips, and there's a few things we're gonna look at and listen to, and we're gonna give our just our point of view, just our opinion,
our take.
Obviously, we don't know
we don't
know Taraji.
Nope.
You know, we don't know personally.
We do love her as an actor. She's a very talented woman. But we do know, we looked up some stuff about her. She is 50 years old.
52 now.
She's 52 now. She's 52. And, you know, she's unmarried. So, you know, a lot of our podcast stuff is relationship stuff.
Yeah. And she talked about being in a dark place.
Yeah. And, not having someone to come home to in her four walls to comfort her. And again, she mentioned that it wasn't.
But that's the thing about the interview. That's one of the lines, one of the things that she said that she threw in there, but
that we're reading into probably.
Yeah, we were reading into it. This, like I said, this is our opinion. I like to feel like I am a street psychologist. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't formally schooled on psychology, and Bry has been, and she has an associate's in psychology. So I like to say
my wisdom.
Yeah, I like to say certain things and compare.
If I went to school, he went to school. Apparently.
Yeah, so I like to compare my my thoughts, on psychology and different things on people's psyche, and compare it to what Bry has learned
and what I kind of diagnose. I'm always like in my head. I'm always trying to understand the human mind, which I know you really cannot. But
I'm the same way too. I've always been that way. I like to study people and analyze people and
behaviors, words.
So it's fun for me to be able to
break down the interview. I guess.
Not only that, it's fun for me to be able to say, all right, this is what I think about it. And Bry has the actual education, and she says, okay, yeah, this and that. Sometimes, and I think majority of the time, I'm accurate on my conclusions or whatever you want to call it. So, with that being said, this first clip we're going to bring up is about Taraji talking about her not being happy, and let's check it out.
How are you doing overall? I just interviewed J Balvin, and he told me, you know, he's struggled with some things in his life too, and he's developed a system where he checks in with his team and his friends and his family. He asked them, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I thought I was happy, but the things that I thought, I'm gonna get emotional, I don't want to. The things that I thought was making me happy, they don't cut it anymore. And so I'm in a place where, what does that look like? And I'm kind of spinning because I don't know. The things that made me happy before, like, you know, when I was going to get married and that didn't work out, it's not that. It's not marriage. It's not a man. It's not. So it's for me to tap in to find my happiness. And to be quite honest with you, Angie, I haven't been happy, like purely happy, in a long time.
Oh. See, that part right there kind of stood out to me right there. Angie just simply asked her, why are you not happy? And one of the things that came out of her mouth immediately was, it's not about my marriage that didn't go through, or that didn't happen. It's not about a man. But Angie didn't ask her about that. Angie didn't mention that.
I've also kind of thought about it, and I feel like maybe somebody will, people kind of assume that it's always because of a man, so maybe that's why she threw that out there.
But that's on your mind. So, you know, if we was talking about something and you say, hey, what happened to my watch? And I go, I didn't steal it. And you go, I didn't ask you.
No,
I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you if you stole. I didn't mention if you stole it. I was just asking, you know, I was just thinking about my watch, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like one of those things that you want to dismiss it already. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of weird to me. It kind of stood out to me.
Okay.
That was the number one thing that stood out to me.
We have to also consider the fact that she is a public figure. She is an actor. So I feel like maybe people are going to automatically assume that that's the reason why she isn't sad. I've also considered that.
And nobody said that. Nobody brought it up.
But it could have been a thing because it's the most recent thing that happened to her.
But no,
okay, let's dive more.
But that's only if you know her history and her past and what she's been through. That's only if you know that. But Angie's her friend.
Right.
You know.
But this is for the world. This isn't just for Angie.
But
it's an interview for everybody.
But at the same time, for me, that's kind of like stood out to me.
No, it definitely did. She also had an interview back in 2021 where she stated that this was a little bit after her relationship had broken off. She was engaged previously. For those that don't know, she was engaged to Kelvin. He was a former NFL player, and they were engaged for 2 years.
They were engaged for 2 years.
Yep, they were engaged for 2 years.
They were together for 5 years.
And she ended up calling it off because she had made this, like I said, this quote in this interview where she said, "His happiness is not my responsibility and mine is not his."
COVID hit. They was engaged to get married in 2019, I want to say.
2020, I believe.
No, 2019 is when I believe they got engaged.
Okay, yeah.
And it had to be 2018. Sorry, it was 2018 when they got engaged, and then 2020 COVID hit. And when COVID hit,
we don't know what happened then. Everybody ruined in relationships.
In the interview, she said that they had to pause the marriage. I mean, the wedding, the
actual wedding, because they had older people that wanted to be part of it. You know, they had family, and it wasn't safe for them.
It wasn't safe. So somewhere along that time, around 2020, they broke up. I guess
she was seen at her 50th birthday without him.
Without him on the beach. She didn't have her ring on, her engagement ring. And then shortly after that, she came out and said that
she did an interview.
She did an interview and she said, you know, they wasn't on the same page. She tried to get him to do therapy, and
pretty much she felt like she was carrying the weight of the relationship on her own. But a lot of her interviews said. We did a deep dive in interviews.
Yeah. So she said, yes.
Yeah, it was one-sided. I think she felt like
it was one-sided. But for me, it felt like a little something was missing. Something was missing there.
And Kelvin hasn't, the NFL player that she was engaged to, hasn't made any interviews or reports or any type of anything.
He kind of just stepped away from it.
Yeah, there's no comment from him.
And I think for him, he's not as well known as she is, and I think for him to come out and make a statement, it was probably a lose-lose.
Taraji P Henson.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we love her. People love her.
And she kind of said she just left it alone, you know. So she left. She broke it off. And for me, and a lot of black women, they haven't been married, but if you ask them, a lot of them say, "Hey, I've been engaged. I've been engaged twice. I've been engaged 3 times. What happened? Oh, I broke off the engagement. For what?" And it's usually we can see eye to eye, or he cheated, or something like that. So I feel like when I watched the interview, that she kind of regrets it. And 2 years later, at 52 years old, she feels like maybe the walls are kind of closing in on her. And
she just have a health scare, something with like stomach ulcers, or she was just having a lot of health issues. And I think maybe that can contribute to the fact that, you know, she mentioned that she doesn't know what makes her happy anymore. What once made her happy doesn't make her happy anymore. And that's a normal, very normal thing, I think, especially for females. I think it's sad that she doesn't know what makes her happy. I think that's
the question.
Thing.
That's the question. The question is, so like, okay, first of all, let's go into the next video. The next video, she talks about basically her support system and the friends that she has. Let's see.
My friends don't care. They will pull up on me. If my hello sounds off, they will pull up on me. I don't care what country I'm in. I remember when John Single passed away. That I was going through a lot. And then that happened. And my best friend did not like, she said my hello sound weird to her. She flew from DC to Vancouver, pulled up on me. She said, yeah, I don't trust.
So right there explains how she has a support system. You know, she has friends, you know, that would pull up on her.
And for girls, that's very important.
It's very important.
It is so important.
So let's do the math. You know, she has money, fame, a great career, supportive friends. You know, which doesn't equate to happiness at all. Money, fame, that stuff does not equal happiness. Now, let's get that straight. But she has that. She has a support system. You know, the only thing that's missing in her life is a man. And we watched some past interviews where she talked when she was in a relationship with her significant other, and she was talking about how happy she was and how.
Or even if you saw pictures of them, like you can like go on Google and just look them up, and you know she seemed so happy. Which again, that's not necessarily important because a lot of people go on social media and portray this whole other image of them rather than what they really are. It's easy to hide behind a picture or a video.
And at the same time, you know, in the interview, she talked about, you know.
Wait, there was a huge age difference too. He was 37.
Yeah, and
she
she's
was 50.
You know, when they broke up, and you know, she talked about. She said that she felt like she would never hurt herself, but she also talked about like.
She mentioned suicide ideation twice.
A few times. She talked about.
That was a red flag for me too.
Yeah.
Usually when someone mentions suicide ideation, and it wasn't even the topic that was mentioned from Angie.
But she did bring it up, and
she's in a pretty dark place, and you can definitely get that. You can tell.
So at the end of the day, you know, we hope that she never gets to that point, or gets some help. She gets some help before she gets to that point. But this video is particularly about just the observation that we're making, and how we feel, and kind of reading between the lines. You know, if there's a lot more going on, obviously we don't know her. You know, and
I also think that in a way she's kind of directing this interview in a way that she's not admitting that she's tired of having like the masculine role in her life. A lot of the traits that she describes, like being her friends, like she said she gives a lot of energy to people.
Well, that video's coming up.
Okay.
And let's save this video for last because I feel like this is the most important part of the whole thing and the most telling part.
This was the telling part for me anyway. This kind of pushed me to agree to do this episode with you, babe, because it says a lot. So let's watch it.
I feel like God has given me a gift to lift people up. And so if I'm not capable in my own being to do that, you get low. I get low. And I don't want to go because I don't want to bring everybody down.
Yeah.
I know that about me.
Yeah.
I know that I'm a energy transfer like everybody is, but I'm clear.
I wonder that for you sometimes as your friend and just watching you and fan of your career. You're always the
life of the party.
You're life of the party. And
it was my best friend that said it. She was like
challenging.
It is very challenging. She said, you know, I watch you and Taraji, no matter what you're going through, you will go into it. She said, you're such an empath. You're so compassionate that no matter what you're going through, and I know you'll go into a room and you'll see people not able to pull themselves up and you'll be that person and you'll ignore your whole what you're going through, your mental state. You'll ignore it just to lift that room up.
That's exhausting though.
Right.
Yeah, that's tiring.
And I'm just getting to
it's kind, but it's like
I'm just getting to this point where it's like it's empty for me now. Like I can do it and I love it. I love to make people happy and smile. But then what about me? Because I go home in the shadows and the four corners of my room. Who's there to lift me up?
So she says, lift everybody up. But when I go home in the four corners, the shadows of my room, home, there's nobody there to lift me up. And whose job is that usually?
Your partner? If it's at home.
If she has a support system, you know, she
great
has great friends, she has a family,
a career,
she has a son, she has all this stuff. But the only thing that's absent is
a partner.
The
Because who else lifts you up in the four corners of your home
other
than your partner?
If it's not your mom, if it's not your dad, not your friends, it's not your dog, it's not your cat.
It's your partner.
It's not your money. It's not your fame. What are you missing?
Right.
You're missing a partner. And if you put all that together in totality, 1 + 1 = 2.
A big thing for me too is she's a fixer. As someone who dealt with their trauma in a way that I'm always trying to fix things, because when there's chaos, I feel like, all right, this person's unhappy, I need to fix it, and that's a trauma response. That means I always want to make sure that things are okay, because then if they're not okay, then what can happen after that? It makes me nervous. So for her, it sounds like that's what she does too. That she tries to fix everybody else's issues, but those people usually have the most going on. People that have the most energy in a room usually are the ones that are hiding the most.
Yeah.
They're hiding behind the smile. They're hiding behind the joy that they're portraying to you. I mean, that's not always the case, but in my experience, it's definitely the loudest in the room is always struggling the most.
Just like Robin Williams, you know, a lot of comedians say, you know, behind the comedy and funny, you know, it's really a dark place behind there. Right. So like I said, like I got from that, you know, that she's missing that partner, she's missing that person that energy to lift her up. You know, like we talked about before, like, you know, my energy could be at 30%, and when I go home to Bree, you know, she's gonna be there to lift me up. She's gonna give me that energy, that extra 70% energy, get me back to where I need to be. You know, if she wasn't there, you know, it's gonna be the shadows of the four corners of the house. You know what I mean? And the thing that really got me about this, and the reason why I wanted to talk about it and bring it up, is because, you know, a lot of Black women, they won't sit. They first of all, Black women are the only demographic of women that say that they don't need a man. No other women say, I don't need a man.
It's hyper independence.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the Black woman's fault, because
it's generational.
It was generational, and the generation before them didn't teach them and tell them,
or ingrained it in their head
that they didn't need a man. But yeah, so they didn't teach them and say, hey, yes, you need a partner. And at the end of the day, let me just rephrase that. We don't need anything. Like me and Bree had this conversation. We talked about this a lot. And we only need money. I mean, that was money. Sorry. We only need food, water, sleep. You know, we don't need a bed to sleep. We don't need a plate to eat. We don't need a fork to eat.
Nope.
You know, that's the only thing that we need. We don't necessarily need a man or a woman.
No.
But those things, and a plate, a bed, you know, those things make our life a little bit more
comfortable, a little bit
easier. And when it comes to men and women, we're strong at certain things and weak at certain things, and vice versa. And we fit together perfectly when we
come together as a partnership.
Exactly. So we looked up a stat, and it said married people live longer than people who were never married. You know, so the problem is a lot of Black women won't admit that, hey, I want a man.
Or need a man. Again, for those of y'all that don't know, I am Black too. My family, I was raised around a lot of Black women, like you've seen my family, obviously. And
she's Black and Puerto Rican.
But so I can see both ends of it.
But she's predominantly raised by her Puerto Rican Puerto Rican grandparents,
right,
who were married, who, when her grandma, who recently passed away, rest in peace, and I was fortunate enough to meet her before she passed, her husband was right by her side every day.
every step of the way. And I think, again, growing up and seeing both sides of the spectrum, the Hispanic side and the Black side, I've noticed that like it is harder for my cousins who are Black, that they can't admit that they won't ever admit that they need a man. You know, for me, it was, I can very easily admit that I need this man, but not in the sense that I need him financially or any other materialistic way. It's more so the fact that I don't have to be a manly role anymore.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time I was a provider and a caregiver, and I was the responsible one. Like Taraji was saying, like I was the energy. I was the, hey guys, I always got your back. No matter what, if you're down, I'm going to come save you. Even if I'm at my lowest right now, I'm going to come save you. And you coming into it, you know, it also brought me to a point where I would stop doing that. I would stop draining my energy. And if I was drained, you see that and you're making sure I take care of me.
It's like the burden of everything, the version of both sides of the relationship, you know, that you got to carry. And I think that, my opinion, I feel like Taraji has come to the point where, you know, that burden is getting real heavy.
Yeah.
You know, and like she had a quote. A part of her quote was like,
I screenshotted it. So part of this quote,
and this quote came in 2021.
From the same interview.
Sometime after she broke off the engagement with her ex-fiance, and this is what she had to say.
And this is about her confidence. She said, I would tell my younger self, never give up on yourself and believe in yourself. You'll get a lot of no's before you get a lot of yeses. But you have to believe in yourself first. How are you going to sell yourself to anybody if you don't believe in yourself? And don't compare yourself to others. That's a death trap. What's meant for you is yours. What's meant for someone else is theirs. Don't go looking for the greener grass, baby, because it might be astroturf.
So, I mean, and it seemed like a continuing theme with her. Like, she says a lot of stuff, but then she'll put this one or two sentences in there that really tells you what the problem is, from my opinion. And she says, you know, the grass is not always green on the other side.
But again, she also says that this breakup wasn't her fault.
That's what she said.
Right, but
that's one-sided story.
We can't speculate.
But check it. This is a one-sided story. You know, when you get the other side of the story, there's a lot of other stuff that comes into play
about why. Like why he didn't want to do therapy or why he didn't want to make it work.
And when she explains this stuff, I feel like there's holes in it. There's something missing.
Well, I mean,
there's something missing.
She doesn't owe us her whole story.
She doesn't. But
I can respect the fact that she's taking a month out in Bali to maybe heal herself and figure out what it is that she is missing and lacking to heal, so that if she does want a man, then she can heal enough to do that.
Yeah. See, the thing for me, the whole thing that really bugged me, and like I said, the really thing that really got me is that I feel like well, first of all, Bree said, does she even know that not having a man is the cause of her unhappiness? Is a problem? If you know, is that it, or is she not just admitting it? And and both of those things, if those two things are true, or if one of two of those things are true, she's still doing Black women a disservice. You know, because I think Black women need to hear from someone like Taraji and say, you know what, I might have made a mistake and cutting off that.
I do want a relationship. I do want a man. It is healthy to want that partnership. You know, I think that a lot of women don't hear that.
Yeah.
I think they hear quite the opposite.
Exactly. And I think if that is the case, if she doesn't know it,
I hope she heals what she needs to heal to figure it out.
But if she does know it and she's not admitting it, she's actually doing Black a disservice. You know, and that's my whole thing. And it shouldn't be something that's considered weak
or negative
to actually say, yes, I want or need a partner.
She loves me. She loves me not. She loves me. That's what I thought. A penny for your thoughts, a nickel for your kiss. Grab a dandelion and make a wish. She loves me. She loves me not. She loves me.